Hi guys, Aceface back with another video for Twisted Dice, and I've got hopefully a very interesting video for you today around one of the new releases. We're going to talk a little bit about Thousand Suns. It's one of my very favourite armies, just outside of Tyranids and Tau. My next favourite army is Thousand Suns. I have a small army of them and we have a big Thousand Suns army in the studio. There'll be a battle report coming with the Thousand Suns versus the New Grey Knights this Friday. So look forward to that, where me and Darren go head to head. It's going to be a great battle report. So before we get started, if you could give us a big thumbs up, if I can get my words out, and if you could subscribe to the channel, that helps us out tons and tons. So let's dive in there. You would have seen there's quite a lot of reviews, battle reports already out there from some amazing channels, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to focus on one of the new Thousand Suns kind of abilities, which is very different from anything we've seen previously, and a really fun mechanic that now I've used in game and really kind of looked at, and it's extremely powerful. It's the I'm going to try and not murder how it's pronounced, Kabbalistic rituals, I think. Correct me in the comments below. But basically, this is an ability for the Thousand Suns that in the psychic phase, depending on how many psychers they've got and what level of power the psychers are, they can use abilities to make their psychic powers even stronger, even more effective, more reliable, and so on. And as I said, the more kind of good psychers you've got in your army, the more points you can get, the more of these abilities that you can get off. So basically, every single psyker in your army has a points level, starting from Magnus, obviously at the most, all the way down to a humble expiring sorcerer at the bottom. So they all will give you an amount of points. At the beginning of your psychic phase, you add up those points, and those points you can then spend on different rituals to buff your psychic phase. And I've made a note of these and I'm going to go through them for you, and I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of which ones are really good and which ones maybe are not so good. I'm not going to go through the names of them because again they've all got really wild and wacky names, but you know, I think it's interesting to go through what they do. So for 4 points, and 4 points is not a lot, you'll get that easy. Even in the late game, you still have 4 points. You can add +6 to the range of your psychic powers. Now, that's obviously very, very strong. Obviously, Thousand Suns used to have that organically in the last codex, but now they have the generic +1 to cast, which actually I think is probably just as strong, if not stronger. But we can add +6 using 4 points every psychic phase, so you can reliably do that for that key psychic power. The next one, for 4 points, you can add an additional D3 mortal wounds to a target that you've got successfully off of a power. That's good. Again, great to get more reliable mortal wounds off. That's what we need to do to continue to put the damage out. So I really like that one, and for 4 points it's not particularly much. So the next one, for 5 points, you can add 1 to your test. Obviously you've already adding 1, so you're going to make that test super reliable, so that's pretty good. And if there are powers that the higher the score you get, the better. Obviously smite, we know, so the more points you get into smite, the more effective that power is. If you can get those big 11s and 12s, you can do more damage. So adding 1 when you've already got adding 1, just making that even more, building those chances of that happening, which is great, and making it even more chance you're going to get your powers off. So I really like that one. The next one, I'm not as keen, but it can be useful. It's only 3, but it means you can use another psyker for your line of sight. So, you know, you can basically do a bit of shenanigans there and potentially hit somebody that you haven't got line of sight with, which I quite like. The next one is 4 CPs. This will give you an additional CP if you get the psychic power off. So there's a psychic power, you get it off, then happy days, you get yourself another CP. That's pretty good, pretty strong. Now we get into the realms of really game changers. Now the first one, for 7, is you automatically successfully manifest that psychic power. That's really, really super strong. you will manifest it on the minimum level. So it does mean that on some of the ones, you know, they're only needing 4 or 5, 6, you're giving your opponent, if they've got psychic abilities, to potentially deny that power very easily. But if you're against an army with no psychic defense, this is incredible, because it means no matter what power, however hard that power is to get off, you can get that off minimum. It's just incredibly strong. So for 7, that's brilliantly. For 8, now we're getting to, probably with a reasonable army, this is maybe half your dice or maybe a bit more in the first turn. This will get it off with the maximum and cannot be stopped. So that is incredible. And I will go into why that is so strong at the end. The next one is, you can cast the same power on a different psyker that doesn't have the power that the other psykers cast, and can do it again even though it's already been cast once. This can be really incredible when you're playing with very strong psykers like Magnus and Araman, because if you want to necessarily manifest one of the powers that someone else has got and do it really, really effectively and successfully, if one of your strong psykers do even more damage, you can do that with that one. So that's really, really good at 8. And then the last one, which is 9, is +2. And again, you know, if you're casting with some stuff that's already got additional pluses, you know, you're already +3 for all your 1,000 Suns, it means you're really going to reliably get those big smites off and that nasty stuff. So this one's kind of a bit of a no-brainer, but it just depends on what else you need to go on your psychic phase. So pretty much every single one of those has play, will be very, very effective to be a super useful cog in a already incredible psychic machine for the 1,000 Suns. So I think it's such a cool mechanic. It's so fun to have all that dice pool again at the beginning of the psychic phase. You're going to have loads and loads of fun with it. It's just going to be amazing. But what I did want to touch on before I finish this video is one of the things that makes it not necessarily game breaking, but it gives 1,000 Suns a huge, strong ability to make a super successful secondary. So one of the 1,000 Suns secondaries is basically, I think it's called Mutate Landscape. Now basically this is to get a psychic power off on a objective each turn, and you get 3 points for it. The challenge with it is you can do the same objective multiple times, but every time you do that objective, the psychic warp charge goes up every time. But we've got now abilities to make those automatically go off, and particularly if you're using a psychic secondary and you're against opponents that can deny, that's what they're going to try and deny, because if they can deny you game points, that's a game winning advantage for them. So to have the ability to say, no, I'm going to get that no matter what, every single turn, as long as I've got 8 points in the bank, you cannot stop me. That means that the 1,000 Suns can max out that secondary so easy. And I would say that in most 1,000 Suns armies, if played well, this ability is even more, makes the secondary even more reliable than Oath of Moment, and makes it probably the best secondary in the game currently. That's how strong it is. Love to hear your comments in the comments below. It'd be really, really cool to hear. But I think this is so strong, so fun, and by far my highlight for the 1,000 Suns. So I'll be back with some more 1,000 Suns tactics and some more 1,000 Suns goodness in the future. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and until the next video, we'll see you soon.